In a previous video, I showed you how to organize your website content using a custom post type. In this video, I'll take that one step further and customize the editor itself using a plugin called Advanced Custom Fields. I'll cover how to install the plugin and transfer all of the HTML structure into our new PHP templates. Then I'll add some unique code snippets to display the content in the browser. Let me show you what that looks like. So I have this sample website that I created and this properties landing or archives page. And we've got these individual properties here. I can go into one of the properties. And we've got this badge up top or flag or whatever we call that. And then this big photo. And then an introductory paragraph, some realtor info, and then these specs and extras. It also gave us the ability to switch between each property. We can go back and view all properties, or we can go to the next or previous property. So let me show you on the back end what we have. So this is the new custom post type that we created for properties. And it allowed us to create these property entries, kind of like a blog post, but it's a little bit different. It allows us to organize our properties separate from our posts and our pages. And real quickly, the way that I did that was I created a custom post type using this custom post type UI plugin and called it properties, and then set the plural label and the singular label, and filled out some of these options here, and then selected which of the fields that I wanted. And that's what gave us this properties menu. And then on the code part, I took a copy of this archive.php template file and created one called archive-properties. That's the slug for our custom post type. And this is the landing page that I just showed you. And then also there's a single-properties.php template file, and that's for the property detail page. And for each one of these, I just went in and customized some of the HTML, and it's all within the WordPress loop. And then I have some different sections here. Let me take you into one of those property screens, though, the property edit form. So just like posts and properties, this is pretty standard for creating a new post or page or custom post type. We have this title area up here, and then for these we have a featured image area. I added this photo here just like you do in a blog post. But then we have this big edit screen. All the HTML is actually in the editor, and that makes it very difficult for somebody who doesn't know HTML to maintain the content. And for that matter, it makes it more complex for me if I'm maintaining it later as well. And then I had this excerpt, and we discussed how some of these fields, we have the price here, and that's duplicated up here, and then these specifications for beds, baths, and square footage, those are duplicated here. What would be much better is if we could just be maintaining the content. So we just put in the paragraph text for the intro, and we just add an image here, but not write the HTML. We'd actually just add it some other way, and we just add each one of these discrete units of content. And the way that we can do that is with a plugin called Advanced Custom Fields. And what that will allow us, just like custom post types, this gives us custom fields or a custom entry form in order to maintain our content. So we would still have the title up here, and then over on the right we'd still have the featured image for that big hero image that we have on the detail page. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to move all this HTML out of this editor, move it into that PHP template, and then replace each one of these areas with some kind of variable to where we're just filling out smaller pieces of information. Let me show you how to do that. Let me go over to the plugin screen, and I'll click Add New and search for Advanced Custom Fields. There's a pro version of this as well. But and then there's other various forms of it, but I'd like this original one here. So advanced custom fields, I'll click install now. And then once it's done installing, I'll click activate to activate the plugin. And then we get this new menu item over on the left for custom fields. So I'll click that. And this is where we create our actual fields, but we'll place them in field groups. So you could have a field group for your about page, you could have a field group for your home page. And in this case, we're going to create a field group for this custom post type of properties. So I'll click add new. And I'm just going to call it properties. And then I'll click add field. And there's various kinds of fields that we can add. And if I just skip forward to field type here, I'll just show you there's text and text area, number, range, email, URL, password, etc. There's a big list of these, and if you get the pro version of this plugin, you'll get even more. In this case, we'll start with a simple text field, and I'll call it price, and it'll create the field name, but in front of that, I'm going to put prop for property, and I'll copy that to the clipboard. I can scroll down. I could give the maintainer, the person that's maintaining the content, some kind of instruction here, but we could make it required or not. We could set a default value, etc. You can come down and fill out the rest of it. But right now I could close this field or just click add field to add another one. Instead of a text field, I'm going to create for description, again, I'll put prop underscore in front of that. Instead of text, I'm going to choose text area. So I'll come down and I could click add field. Actually, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to click publish for these two. Before I go and show you what it looks like in the editor, I need to assign it to a location. So I'm going to select post type is equal to, and instead of post or page, I'm going to choose property. Then I'm going to click update, and I'm going to go back to properties. Now, if I go into one of these property posts, then I can see this is all my HTML that I entered before. But we also have, here's our field group label, then we have our text field, and we have this text area for description. So we could enter the price here, we could enter the description here, but before we do that, I'm going to come back to custom fields, and I'm going to go back into the properties field group, and let me show you one other kind. I'll eventually create a bunch of these, I'll speed through and create them, but let me show you one other kind. So for the realtor photo, again, I'll put prop in front of that. Instead of text or text area, I'm actually going to choose image. And for this one, image array. And for the preview size, I'm going to choose this 300 by 300, but you could choose other ones depending on what you have set up in your functions file. And then I think that's it for that one. And then I'll click update. And before I go any further, let me go back into the property edit screen. And I'll scroll down. Eventually we'll transfer this HTML over to the PHP template and then close up that area. But here's our field group. We've got price, that's a text field. Here's text area for description. And then we have this add image button. We can add our realtor photo there. So now I'm going to go through the full list, and I'll go back over to the custom fields, go back into our properties field group, and I'm going to create new fields for each of the ones. I'll be right back. I'll speed it up, and I'll be right back and show you what I've created. I've created all of my fields here. So we have the price, description, realtor photo that we set up at the beginning. I've added beds, which I've set to a number. Baths, I've set to a number. And before I go on, you may have noticed that I set price to text. And that's because instead of just entering the number, I'm going to allow the person to enter the dollar sign or whatever currency sign, and then commas, and however they want to do that as a freeform text field. So I got beds, baths, and then size is text, extras is text, badge text, all the rest of these are text. So we've got realtor name, realtor company, realtor email, and realtor phone. And also let me show you that you can move these by clicking on the number, and I'm going to put realtor photo with the rest of the realtor parts, and I think I'd like to put description above, and then I'll click update. Now if we go back to our property edit screen and I scroll past this editor, now we see description is at the top, so these show up in the same order that we have them in the field group. Description, price, beds, baths, size, extras, badge, realtor photo, name, company, email, and phone. And so now we can transfer the information that we have in each one of these pages into each of those forms. So let me show you how we'll do that. So I'll grab hold of this description, and in its place I'm just going to put XYZ for now, and I'll scroll down and paste that. Then we want to grab this price, and again I'll put an XYZ placeholder. Then we want beds. Now I'm not going to grab the whole thing because we're going to use that label. I'm just going to grab the number 3, beds, and the number 2 for baths, and then size, I'm just going to grab the number. And for extras, I'm going to grab all 3 of these, and I'm forgetting to put the XYZ in there. So let me go up and do that. That'll give me a reminder for later when we're working on the template to add those in. And let's see, that was extras. Put that in here. On sale. Put that in here. And for realtor photo, I'll click add image. I can select from the media library like we did before. And you'll notice that this has alt text. I'll show you how that gets integrated later. I'll click select. And now you see the 300 by 300 thumbnail. On the website, it'll actually be full size. I'll shrink it down with CSS. And then realtor name, let me come back up here. And I'll grab that. Sorry about all the scrolling. Put in realtor name, realtor company, and scroll down. Put that in for realtor company, realtor email. Now this will show up actually in 2 places. So I'm going to cut one to the clipboard and then put an XYZ for both of those. And then realtor phone, let me grab that fake phone number. Okay, realtor phone. For now, I'll leave this excerpt and we'll come back to that. I'll go back up and click update. Now at this point, if we go to, let's see, we're on 123 Congress Avenue. If we go back to the main properties listings page, then we go into that first one, the 123 Congress, you'll see all of the XYZ placeholders that I put in the main text editor. But we're going to add these variables, these advanced custom fields variables into the PHP templates. And I see that where was the space missing? Right there. Okay, let me update that. At this point, I'll show you how to transfer this HTML over to the PHP template and then replace where I have XYZ in each one of those places with an advanced custom fields variable, and that'll pull in the content into the template. So I'll select all of this and I'll cut it from the page, and I'll go ahead and click update, and then I'll switch over to the single-properties.php file, and where I have this WordPress function for the content, the_content, I'll get rid of that and paste in what I have copied, and I can tab that over. So that's actually all of this information here. So every single one of these XYZ values that I put in, I can replace those with advanced custom fields or ACF values. So it's a PHP block, so we'll do the field is how you do it. And then we'll do the name of the field. Whoops. It's prop description for this one. And then close that. So that will pull in the description. In fact, before we go any further, let me come back over to the front end and I'll do a reload. And that's the HTML that we had that now I've transferred into the ACF field. So what I'll do is I'll come down to the next one. I'll copy this to the clipboard, come down to the next one, and I'll do prop realtor name. And I'll do each one of these before I show you what they look like. Company, let's see, we had name, company, this is going to be email. And then we're going to duplicate that. And then finally phone. And I have these listed on another screen. That's how I know what these are. But actually, let me go back and show you. If you go into the custom fields and then properties, those values come from here. So there's the description and the price, beds, down here the realtor one. So that's the list. I've actually copied those onto the other screen so that I have them available. So I've got those saved. Let me refresh my browser. And now it's pulling in those values that I entered in the field, into the fields here. So all of these fields are now being pulled in using those ACF values. Let's see, so I'll go back to the template, and where are we here? So we're down to specs, and I'll do prop underscore, oh sorry, this is the price. I'll copy that one. This is beds and baths and size. Then we've got extras here. And finally, badge. This is that red flag that shows up over the photo. So I've saved. Let me go back to the front end and refresh my browser and show you that it's pulled everything in. Now this was the title that showed up already, and this big photo here is the featured image. So we're still using those to input into the form. So here's our badge. We've got a description here, all of our retail information with our realtor photo. I'm using CSS to get these all to line up properly. Here's our price, and we have our extras with beds, baths, and square footage. And then, I'm sorry, those are specs. That's what I called them, specs. And then these are the extras here. So now what I need to do is I'll hide this field later, this editor later, but what I need to do is that task that I did where I transferred all of that information, I need to go back through and transfer all of the values. Now I don't need the rest of this HTML, but I need to pull each one of these values. I need to cut and then paste down into the field. So I'll do that for each one of these 6 properties, and then I'll speed through it, and I'll see you back here in a moment. So now I've transferred all of those values from the main text editor here into the fields that we created in the ACF plugin. I realized though, after looking at the front end, let me show you what I see here. So here's our first one. That one looks good, but notice this is the Jennifer Realtor photo. If I go to the next property, we've got a couple problems. Here we've got this little red area here that's actually a badge, but we don't have any badge text on that one, so I don't want that red part to show. And then also we see there's that same Jennifer Realtor photo, but this is actually the James Realtor. So I think I skipped something there. So let me go back into the template. And I was able to see that I completely missed setting the values for our Realtor image. And then also we need some kind of mechanism to allow for them to skip the badge entry if they want. So for the image, the Realtor photo, I'll come back up here. So what we need here is similar to the field. We actually need a variable. I'm going to set Realtor photo equal get field instead of the field. And we're going to get prop Realtor photo. And then I'll grab that part. Then instead of this source, we'll get rid of that and do, sorry, we need an echo here. And then Realtor photo, which is our variable. And we're going to grab the URL out of that array. Okay. Then I'm going to replace this alt attribute with the same thing, except instead of URL, I'm going to choose, alt for alt text. And I think we've got the rest of that. Yep. So then I'll come down to this badge and I'll do an if get field. In other words, if there's been something entered for the badge, then we'll display the badge and do end if here as well. And while I'm thinking about it, we need the same mechanism if they don't enter any extras. Then I don't want this H3 to show up. So I'll do if get field prop extras, then display the H3 and the paragraph, and then end if. Okay, I think I've got everything there. I'll do a save, go back over to view all properties, go into the first one. Whoops, looks like we've got some type of error. It says on line 67. Okay, I've probably missed some of the syntax here. Let's see, if prop extras and end if. Oh, I see. I've placed a semicolon here where there should be a colon. And same thing here. Okay, that should do it. Come back over and reload. There we go. So this looks like it's all correct now. If I go to the next one, now we see there's no red sliver there. It's just missing because we didn't enter any value for that. And then we've got the right Realtor photo now. And if I show you in Web Inspector, looks like we didn't get the alt attribute. I wonder if that's because I missed that one for James. Let me go back over to the Jennifer one and see if that shows up. There we go. So we've got the alt text for that one. Well, we can fix that. We can go back to the media library. We can choose this one. And there we go. James, I think his last name was Jenkins that I made up. Update. And reload. I'll go to the next property. And now inspect. There we go. So James Jenkins is for the alt text on that image. So it's pulling in the URL and it's pulling in the alt text from that array. So the next thing we need to do is, let me close the Web Inspector. If we go back to view all properties, much the same way that we transferred the HTML out of the editor into the single-properties.php template, I need to do the same thing and transfer. These come from the excerpt, so I need to transfer that HTML into the archive-properties.php template and then add in the ACF variables. So let's go back into one of our properties. And I'll scroll down, it's all the way down here. So we have beds, baths, and square footage, and then price, and then the badge. So these are the same values that I have in the single properties template. So what we need to do is use those same ACF field values and put those in our archive template. So we can grab price. Oh, actually, we need beds. And we'll come over to archive properties. And instead of the excerpt, we actually need this ACF value and then beds. I'm going to give myself a space and then a vertical bar. And I'll do the same thing for baths and change this to baths, space, vertical bar. Same thing for size. Actually, and then we have an H3 for the price. And then finally, we have badge. So I've worked out ahead of time what HTML I need here, but I'm placing the title, which will be the address, in an H2. And then I've got each of these three values with a vertical bar between them. And then this H3 I'm using for the price. And then I'm using a div for the badge. So I'll save that. And I'll come back over to the editor. Let's remove this. And then I'll scroll back up to the top, click Update. Now, it won't look any different unless I've made a mistake. But, well, it looks like I've got something wrong here. Well, we have that same thing where we need an if statement here for the badge. But also, it seems like my text is not quite right. I think I'm missing something in my template. Okay, it turns out that I was just missing a paragraph around these specs here. And then also to fix this issue with the badge, we just need that same if around it. So I'll grab hold of that off screen and paste that here. And then we'll close up the end if. Now if we go back, it should be styled properly. There we go. So that empty badge is not showing anymore, and these are now styled up correctly with my CSS. So now the other task, if I switch back to the editor, is to go through each one of these other properties and then empty out the excerpt. So I'll go through and just empty all these out and then come back and update that. So I'll speed through these right quick and I'll be right back. Okay, so now I've emptied out each one of the excerpts here. So we no longer need that excerpt. We'll turn that off later. We also have cleared out this main editor, text editor. One other thing that I didn't mention though, if we were to create a new, now I've transferred all of those values from the main editor down into the ACF fields, but if we were creating a new property, I would just do add new, and then I would just fill in all of this information just like I did before, except I would enter it all new and I would ignore that editor above and I would ignore the excerpt. So now we can, let me get rid of this page. So got all this transferred over, and we can come back to the custom fields and go into our properties field group. Now we can scroll down and we can hide on screen. We can hide the content editor and we could hide the excerpt. And notice there are some other things that you could hide if you didn't need them either. So let me scroll up, click Update, and that'll really clean up our editor. So if I go back into this first one, that main editor would have been up here. So now we've got our field group immediately, and we could enter our information, and then now there's no excerpt down at the bottom. So just to review what I did, I went and in the previous video I created a custom post type for properties, which gave us this new properties custom post type here, this new menu. That helped us organize our content from posts and pages to something unique for properties. And then with advanced custom fields, it gives us a simpler way to maintain our content. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. If you have any questions on advanced custom fields or WordPress development in general, you can reach out to me on my website at mpgilbert.com. I've also included some links to my social media accounts in the description.